Welcome to the Aging Well Firefighter, the podcast for first responders, our families, and the communities we serve. Whether you're on the front lines or standing with us, I'm here to help you fight wisely and age bravely. Over the past 4 weeks in this Gravity Never Sleeps series, we've uncovered some insider truths. Dr. Michael Grahl reminded us that falls don't just happen to the frail or the elderly. They happen to firefighters and athletes and professionals. Pam Tinsley showed us why one of the most dangerous rooms in the house is the bathroom at 2 a.m. Brittany Borchard revealed that falls don't happen in a vacuum, and social factors like isolation and finances magnify the risk. And Dr. Eric Meyer flipped the script on prevention, showing us that confidence, resilience, and even the ability to fall better can all be trained and practiced. Today, we close the loop with Lisa Fleischer. Lisa spent more than a decade owning and running an in-home care agency that supported older adults and families through everything from grocery trips to end-of-life care. She's seen firsthand that the hardest part isn't always the fall itself. It's what comes after. The loss of confidence, the stubborn pride, the burnout of caregivers, and the misconceptions that keep families from getting the support that could protect independence. Lisa's story isn't just about caregiving. It's about a truth that every one of our guests in their own way has pointed to. That independence doesn't mean going it alone. Lasting independence comes from the courage to accept support and to reframe what it means to age bravely. Lisa, you and I have known each other a long time.
Too long, some might say.
Yeah, some might say that. But for those who don't know you, can you share just a little bit about your background? Can you share about your work with senior helpers? What did you do there, and what does senior helpers do?
My husband and I owned Senior Helpers for 13 years, 2011 till 2024. Senior Helpers is a home care agency. We employed caregivers to go directly to the clients. And so that means in their homes or in the nursing homes, or if they live in facilities, even in hospitals. If the family would need us to be with the client, they couldn't be there, we'd be in the hospitals. It would be for anything as simple as one woman we took out golfing, all the way to providing ADLs, which are activities of daily living, such as bathing and dressing and toileting. And we would go all the way to end-of-life care. So some clients would maybe have 1 hour a day, 3 times a week, whereas other clients we would have 24/7 till the end of their life.
I didn't realize that you did outings with clients as well. I thought it was just strictly in-home care.
No, we did outings, lots of transportation to take them to appointments, to go into appointments with them, so that if a family member wasn't there, to have someone else to listen. Yeah, one lady just took us, or we went with her to the orchestra. Another lady, it was golf. She had one of our male caregivers take her golfing once a week. But then again, all the way up to 24/7 that we were there for pretty much everything. It was non-medical though, so if there were medical things that needed to be done, we had a nurse on staff. She would work with us or work with the facility to provide those.
Did your company have to be state licensed to do that?
No, not in Wisconsin. Other states do have to be licensed. Wisconsin, I'm assuming eventually will have to be licensed, but at this point we did not.
Okay. Was there some sort of like certifying body or anything like that that would credential you at least?
No, unfortunately not. It was completely up to the client to decide. So we would have case managers that would go out to provide the assessment, which was always at no charge, and they would assess the situation.
Mhm.
You know, what did the client actually need? How could we help? And to show examples of how we could help. Most of our business came from referrals.
Okay.
So it was from other clients that we worked with and did a good job, and they told others about us, or facilities that specifically would have us come in because they know that we did a good job.
Okay. I know from our conversations in the past that your staff were very dedicated and very reliable. How would somebody who was thinking about home health care go about finding an agency in Wisconsin that was a quality agency since there's really no credentialing process for the state?
I would suggest going on checking out their reviews.
Okay.
We had a third party company that would review us, talk to our clients, and talk to our caregivers. They would ask them questions both about us as an employer and as a provider. And that can give you a lot of information. Obviously, sometimes that wouldn't give you all of the information, but going online and checking things like that, especially talking to the case managers, I would interview a bunch of different companies before I would choose one for
Okay.
sure.
That's great advice. Now, you ran senior helpers for a long time, but there are other community based programs like the Aging and Disability Resource Center and Meals on Wheels. Can you give us a sense of the landscape of support services that are available out there?
There are a lot of services. I've been out of it now for a little bit, so I couldn't necessarily tell you all of them, but Meals on Wheels is huge. I don't think people realize how important nutrition is. Obviously, it's important for the two of us. I need to work on that a little harder, as you know, but it's such a big deal for them to get the nutrition they need because a lot of older people will just eat what's convenient, which isn't necessarily good for them. The ADRC, especially in Dodge County, is a huge, huge asset. They work with clients to give them their options for like long term care. What can they afford? How can they get benefits to afford it? They also provide support for the caregivers, which can mean not just caregivers that are hired by home care agencies, but caregiver family members are caregivers. And a lot of times they don't understand the best way to give support. They get burned out, and the ADRC provides support for them, which is is more important than I think people realize.
Yeah.
You think, "Oh, mom's not well, so I go over and I check on her all the time. I do this, I do that." And you don't necessarily think about what it's doing to you and how to take care of yourself so that you can continue to take care of mom.
Sometimes people worry that bringing in help like a home health agency or ADRC or something means that they're going to be losing their independence. But really, these services are designed to support people's independence. So, can you talk about how in home care, like senior helpers provided, and programs like ADRC and other community programs actually help people stay in control of their lives?
Most people see any sort of help as a weakness, and it's not. As you get older, to to actually lean on others is going to help you stay independent longer. And I think even at our age, you and I are very young, we can rely on other people for support and it can help you be stronger. One of the things that really is important about a home care agency is that, like I said before, the case manager comes in and looks at all the different ways to be proactive.
Mhm.
Find the ways. I know this week you're talking about these fall risks. Find the ways to be proactive before you fall. Unfortunately, once you fall, it's not always too late, but a lot of times it can cause a devastating aftermath. We would have a client that would be doing great, but because she would refuse to get rid of her throw rugs or install handrails because she saw that as a weakness,
Yeah.
she'd fall. Whereas if it was there and she could have held herself, she would be able to stay in her home longer, therefore being in control longer.
I think maybe one of the biggest aftershocks that I've heard some of my guest experts talk about after a fall is that loss of confidence. How have you seen that play out in people you've worked with? And how can caregivers help their loved ones rebuild confidence after a fall?
It it's a very scary thing, and it's scary for anyone when they fall, especially if you've injured yourself.
Even for younger people.
Right. It's like, oh, you realize then how nice it was when you were moving around freely, but for seniors, they automatically assume, oh, people are going to be looking at them more closely. And their first thought is that they're going to lose their independence, that they're going to be moved. So we definitely dealt with a lot of clients that didn't want help. And as we helped them, though, we would see them improve. So they actually gained more control. The worst part about it was then sometimes the family would be like, well, mom's doing better now. We don't need you. And again, it's about keeping the systems, being proactive, get these things ahead of time. One of the big things that I saw that helped people was learning to work on their balance. Even you and I have talked about balance and,
Right.
and my balance in particular because I'm not that steady. But I know working with you over the years how much steadier I am. And I don't think people think enough about it. I had an aunt that she was very independent and she was with it mentally, but she started to stumble. So I've worked on a lot of things with her actually from things you taught me to do to help maintain her balance. We also got rid of the rugs and put handrails in. She was really against that at first, but yeah, she was able to stay in her home until the end
Yeah.
when she was almost 93 years old.
That's a great point, and that echoes what my last guest, Dr. Eric Meyer, said, that balance is a use it or lose it thing. If you don't continue to use it as you age, you will lose it. So, yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Lisa. You you and I have talked about this before. We talked about doing the podcast and talked about some of the questions we were going to address. You mentioned during that, and this kind of surprised me because I didn't know this, that hospice care isn't just for end of life care, but a lot of people think that it's just for the very end of life. Can you explain what hospice and palliative care really are and how they can support quality of life even before someone is at that end stage?
Palliative care is, and a lot of agencies provide palliative care, and it's really a very helpful option for someone that has symptoms that the doctor can't completely manage with pills and things like that. Palliative care works with the doctor to decide are there lifestyle changes this person can make along with their meds. Things like working on balance, getting exercise, eating better, ways to help them sleep better. Palliative care works on all of that. A lot of people are resistant to any type of care just because they assume that means, well, I couldn't do it on my own and I'm not independent then. Well, it helps you be more independent. I wish more people could understand this by reaching out. And again, at any age, if you need help to be 100%, by all means, get it. Hospice, I can't say enough good things about it. Too many times at Senior Helpers, we saw that people called them in too late. The husband would be, let's say the wife was our client and he'd be saying, nope, we don't need it. I can do it. I can do it. What he didn't understand was that hospice provides so much support, can make everything so much easier. And a lot of times the person would do better. We had clients that graduated from hospice. It's, I think they saw it as like a death sentence.
Yeah.
Oh, you go on hospice, that's it. While hospice is there for end of life care, it can prolong life. It's unbelievable. And the assistance, just the comfort. My mom, we had hospice for her and it made all the difference in the world. I have 10 siblings, so by all means, we should have been able to handle it. But hospice just is so much more knowledgeable about pain management and all of that kind of thing. They just made it so much easier for all of us, especially for mom.
For families who might be hesitant about bringing up hospice or palliative care because they think it means that they're giving up or their loved one is giving up, what would you say to them?
I would say that, first of all, educate yourself as much as possible on these options before you talk to them because they're always going to be hesitant about it. I don't know how to explain it, but there's just a hesitancy about it because to them it means the end.
Yeah.
And to explain that no, it's to make life better until the end. And don't we all want life to be better until the end? Hospice is amazing.
You and I had a chance to talk earlier about how many older adults are either in denial about falling or they can even hide the fact that they've been falling if they're living independently, and sometimes hide the fact that they're repeatedly falling. Why do you think that happens? And what are some of the clues or the signals that a caregiver or a loved one can watch for that might suggest a loved one has fallen or has been falling, even if they don't want to admit it?
They definitely will hide it because, again, they see it as a sign of weakness and that it means They might lose some independence, that their family might start to observe them more closely, which they don't want.
Mhm.
You would think that they would want the help, but obviously as we get older, we get more stubborn
Right.
and more insistent that we can do things ourselves, become, like we were when we were young. I do it myself. So they'll hide it. I know someone that in particular hid it and would say, don't tell my family. What you need to do is the main thing is to check in on these people often. And I know that's not always easy for people, especially if their loved one is further away. But then to get a neighbor to hire a caregiver, if at all possible, to get someone to be checking in on them on a regular basis to watch for signs of bruising, hesitancy to move. I mean, I've had clients that they wouldn't drink any water because then that meant they had to go to the bathroom and there was more chance of a fall. They just didn't want to move. They need to be moving, and to tell them how it's a normal part of life to fall. We all fall, and as you get older, you need to be more proactive in how slow you take things, not to do things you shouldn't. Don't get on a ladder. Wait for someone to help. That's another thing that they don't want to wait for someone to come. So that's when a lot of these falls will happen. They'll think, well, I can quick get on the step stool. No, you can't. You need to be patient. So showing them patience while explaining all the reasons why they shouldn't be doing things and why they should maybe ask for help. Just patience is the hugest thing
Okay.
that you can give them.
So if a caregiver or a family member notices these signs that somebody might be falling and feels the need to bring it up, how can they bring it up in a way that feels like they're supporting their loved one rather than confronting their loved one? How do you start that conversation without making your loved one feel like you're trying to take away their independence?
Yeah, it's important not to make them feel like a child.
Yeah.
So I know the first response is to be, "Mom, oh my gosh, you're falling and you didn't tell me," and to make them feel bad about it. But it's definitely important to make them understand this is a very normal part of aging, and what are the ways that we can be proactive in helping it so that it doesn't happen. They immediately think that if they're falling, that you're going to do something about it, and possibly something they are not going to like. So to always make sure it's a open communication between you and them about what's going on with them, and that you only want to help. Always stress how much you love them, how you're there for them, and that they have a say in what happens, but that it's important to consider all avenues.
So if you could leave our listeners with one message about in-home care or hospice or palliative care, especially for families who want to support their loved ones' independence and reassure them that they're not trying to take that independence away, what would it be?
That is a tough question. When we owned Senior Helpers, our goal was to keep seniors independent because we felt so passionately about it. We ourselves obviously want to be able to stay in our homes, although sometimes I think that somebody taking care of me 24/7 would be awesome. But the best thing that people can do is to make sure that their loved one's care is being overseen. And that doesn't mean by telling them what to do every second, but by checking in, going to doctor's appointments with them, make sure they're eating properly. These are just really important things to help them, live independently for as long as possible.
Lisa, thank you so much for talking with me today. I know that you were nervous about it. You have done fantastic, and I'm sure that our listeners all think so as well.
Oh, let's hope so, Roy.
This is our final week in the Falls Prevention series. And looking back across each episode, I hear one common message that I hope you hear too. Gravity never sleeps, but neither does human pride or human fear or human resilience. Back in week 1, Dr. Michael Grawl reminded us that even the strongest among us fall, and that sometimes embarrassment needs us to cover it up instead of confronting the real cause. Pam Tinsley in week 2 showed us why one of the smallest rooms in the house, the bathroom, can become one of the most dangerous. In week 3, Brittany Borchert revealed that falls don't happen in a vacuum. They strike hardest at certain danger hours, and the risks are multiplied by isolation and finances and other social factors. And last week, Dr. Eric Meyer reframed prevention entirely, showing us that falling doesn't have to mean failing. Fear can shrink our world, but confidence and practice expand it. And this week, Lisa Fleischer brought those truths home. She's seen stubborn pride keep a throw rug on the floor until it's too late. She's watched families burn out under the weight of caregiving. They become too exhausted to realize that support could actually extend independence, not take it away. She's seen the way hospice and palliative care, when embraced sooner, can improve life instead of simply marking its end. And there's another piece that ties all these stories together: caregivers. Lisa showed us what happens when families try to carry it all alone. Back in week 3, Brittany reminded us that caregiver workshops, support groups, and resources exist not just to help loved ones, but to keep caregivers themselves resilient. Because independence isn't just about the person who fell, it's about the strength of the people standing beside them. Falls prevention is never just about rugs and railings. It's about a whole ecosystem of resilience, and caregivers are right in the middle of it. So here's the final lesson. Falls aren't accidents, and they're not random. They're shaped by catalysts like pride, fear, isolation, and our environment. And the aftershocks of falls go far beyond broken bones. They reverberate into confidence and independence and families. But every one of our guests pointed to the same hope: that resilience can be built. It's built in the way we care for ourselves, the way we train our confidence like a muscle, the way we design our homes and our communities, and the way we support the caregivers who support us. As we close out this series, I hope you remember this. Gravity never sleeps, but neither does courage. Neither does confidence. Neither should our effort to build that ecosystem of resilience together, so that all of us can fight wisely and age bravely. I've learned so much through this series, and I've loved sharing it with you and sharing the stories of our guests. If you have a story you'd like to share, I'd love for you to reach out to me. You can contact me through social media, through email, by text. I'll include my contact information in the show notes. And if you'd like to come on the podcast to share your story, let's make that happen too. Please reach out. As a little bit of a teaser, I'm starting to plan a new series. A series on the invisible falls we all experience. Stay tuned for more on that. Until next time, listener, continue to fight wisely, age bravely,